I'm a stickler for rules, processes, and procedures. It's the best and fastest way to get consistent results. Hi, I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. If you have a process for producing sales materials, lead generation, and other marketing functions, you will always be able to create better results in less time with fewer resources than through any other method. The biggest problem today is that most small businesses, even large businesses, take an ad hoc approach to their marketing and business development. They try a few campaigns here and they try a few campaigns there, and then when a new sales rep comes up, they try something different. And they're not really tracking or systematically testing their results. That's why I like direct response marketing. Direct response marketing, in its basic form, is a challenge response mechanism. It sends a message to a customer base that asks them a question. When they raise their hand for to answer that question, they gain more information. The more information asks them another question. They raise their hand, and then eventually the question is, do you want to buy? The systems, processes, and controls associated with this helps you know how many people are interested in a product or service out of a certain list. Of that list and those people who are interested, how many decided to buy? Now, these are conversion rates, and a lot of folks get excited about conversion rates, but I'm more interested in the sifting and sorting of prospects in order to find specific leads and buyers. So as a copywriter, marketer, or business development professional, how can you help your customers be more effective and efficient with their marketing so that they get more of the outcomes that they're looking for? Well, again, it starts with the process. What is the process your customer should use at a basic level in order to reach the highest number of valuable customers in the shortest amount of time? That's why customers hire marketers. That's why customers hire copywriters. They usually want more sales. Now, of those customers that your client wants, how do we get them? How do we reach them? Well, that's list development. That is understanding and surveying a customer list. That could be using surveys, quizzes. It could be using A/B split campaigns that test certain assumptions about a marketplace. It could be A/B split between list types. Now, this is horribly tedious work, and it almost takes a genetic disposition in order to stay focused on, if you're running 5 A/B splits and you're doing 3 list tests using controls and 2 creative tests, testing creatives, and then you're cycling through the controlled creatives into your list testing, oh my gosh, it becomes quite a complex matrix. And remember, matrix, it is all a matrices, list versus creative, segment versus, test case. But how do you do this for the customer? How do you help them get beyond this? Because they get so confused, they just simply wing it. They're like, what kind of marketing are we doing this week? Rarely, unless they're a catalog marketer or they're a direct response professional or some kind of database marketer, rarely does a client ever say, we're going to run A/B split pairs of campaigns every week for the next 6 weeks. We'll take the winners out of those campaigns, and then we'll put more money into them and run them again for 6 weeks with a larger segment of the list. And then based on what we learn about this larger segment of list, we're going to do an audience match to then do a second step of the campaign to make an offer. Rarely anybody does that because essentially 6 weeks of tests using A/B splits would be 12 campaign variations, and it could be 12 variations, including like 6 campaigns, 6 lists. And they are going to be tracked for 30 days, so you're not going to know the response. And then you've got your second set of tests based on what you've learned from the first set of tests, which might be only just how many people clicked on links. And then you've got to test whether it's statistically accurate. Now, I know a lot of you folks are saying, that's why I write copy. That's why I stay with the creative side, because creative seems like it's doing something. But what if the real equity, the real asset of a business wasn't the product? It wasn't the service they could deliver. It wasn't anything other than the marketing that brought customers in the door. Think about it this way. If you have a lead generation campaign that is a topical lead generation campaign, so parents of children who are currently homeschooling and frustrated about the experience, Well, that could be fathers, single fathers of children being homeschooled. It could be single mothers of children who are being homeschooled. It could be urban city children stuck homeschooling. It could be rural children stuck homeschooling. See, that one campaign or that one product that solves the homeschooling problem could have unlimited variations on the front end to generate leads. Those people don't even know what the product is when they raise their hand and say that they're interested in something. When they raise their hand and say, yes, I'm a single father and I'm not satisfied with my homeschooling solution. What options are available? You're going to send the same product pitch as you would a dual income family who's tired of the homeschooling situation. And of course, I'm using this as a context because it's the COVID-19. Everybody's at a stay-at-home order. Many people are out of work. So you could even say, those who have lost their income due to COVID-19 in a homeschooling situation. Now, these people are going to raise their hand, and you got all these slices, and you're going to send them the same package because they don't know what they're asking for other than a solution to the problem, which they all have the same problem. They just see it differently because of their personal situation. At that point, it is the lead generation piece that produces the most leads that has the greatest value. Now you've sent out a package, and let's say you've only customized the cover letter. So the cover letter acknowledges the customer category, and that's tied to the lead generation piece. So you are literally rewriting the lead generation piece to be a cover letter, and then you attach your special report or your video presentation that covers all of those categories, but ultimately makes a pitch for a product. Now you have a measure of lead quality based on the conversion to the offer. And see, this is that first 6 weeks is just generating leads. That second 6 weeks is making the offers. By the end of that 12-week period from when you started, you're going to know which of the leads are most likely to become customers. That's when you can then take that information. Maybe it's your customer list. Maybe it's the number of people who visited a website and there's a cookie that's been given to them, so you can do an audience match. And then you're going to go back to the original campaigns and then scale them. So maybe you had a $1,500 budget going in, and now you're going to double your budget to $3,000, but now that $3,000 is focused on only those categories in which there were buyers. And then based on that, you can maybe expand it again. Maybe you're taking a percentage of profits or percentage of gross on the sales, and you're reinvesting that in your marketing. Can you see how this can snowball the value of a marketing campaign, yet has very little to do with the product? Because you're scaling based on individuals who have an interest in a solution, but not necessarily know anything about your product or services. And through this, what we're developing is a model to then offer backed-in products. So maybe your homeschooling kit, they're not interested in that. They want a live tutor. Well, you can partner with live tutors, and now you can offer live tutors as part of that back end. Do you see how this works? In how the marketing itself is the asset in the business, but not just the marketing. It is the functional system in place that's used to create the campaign, to track the results, to turn around this niche versus that niche, to turn around this product versus that product. This customer in segment responds to this offer more than this customer in segment responds to this other offer. You'll end up having controls faster. You'll end up being able to identify buyers in a marketplace faster. You'll be able to get more return for each marketing dollar, but it is a complex and very often difficult model to keep track of. This, again, is where the process comes in. So if you want to value add as a copywriter, a marketer, or a business development professional, that value add should be helping with the tracking, helping with the list selection, helping develop test models for campaigns, to help interpret the test models, not just write a sales letter. Again, and I've told you this time and time again, if all you're doing is writing a sales letter, you're doing a disservice to the customer. Sure, they want to beat the control. They want another sales letter, but you're not always going to get to work for Agora. You're not always going to get to work for these big marketing companies that have database systems in place where they're tracking this. If you want to expand your client base and increase the profitability and the potential for growth for your consultancy or agency, then you're going to need to be able to do this for your small businesses, for your medium-sized manufacturers, for your catalog companies. When I worked at Lilly and Vernon, I used to sneak back into the data center. I was doing IT services, and I was supporting their list management as well as their website and the data acquisition. Now, it was a contract that was a very rough contract because they were going through a buyout with an investor, and I worked there for 90 days straight, 12 to 15 hours a day. It was a pretty tough contract. But I used to sneak back in and bump the monitor that was on the mainframe where they had a quick snapshot of their marketing performance. So their website sales, their telephone sales, their catalog sales, all rolled up to this mainframe that was daily calculating customer segment groups. It was daily calculating the number of sales per catalog dollar, the number of sales per web dollar. And it was amazing. It would flip through these charts. It was basically a dashboard that was syndicated to a couple terminals where executives would make decisions. It had just numbers. I didn't have I didn't know what customer category A456 was. I just knew that was the category that was busting it out. But not once did the creative folks who we also supported say, let's write a campaign for audience A456. They wrote a generic catalog. They wrote generic front-end pieces, and rarely did they niche down into the personalization that Lilly and Vernon originally started with. Lilly and Vernon built that company on personalization of product. So she knew who bought a product versus who bought a product that they bothered to personalize. And those who wanted to personalize product were more likely to buy additional product in which they wanted to be personalized. And it turns out the margin on personalization was extremely high, and it increased the value of a low-price commodity item. So someone buying a leather belt with their name on it would pay more than buying just a leather belt. And so this is direct response. Now, I read about the history of Lilly and Vernon. She tracked this on index cards. It doesn't need to be that sophisticated. Today, we can use spreadsheets. We can use different types of customer relationship management systems. But my key point is, if you don't have a system in place to acquire, test, to track and compare the marketing efforts of your own business, yet alone your client's business, then you're going to be at a deficient position when it comes to success in a marketplace. Now, this stuff like COVID is going to wipe out a lot of businesses. Now's the time to get your customers ramped up with cash flow surges so that they can go around and buy their competitors. You want to ramp them up with cash flow surges so that they know specifically what marketing works and what doesn't, so that when the economy starts to improve, they can double down on campaigns. And ultimately, you want to help them know what works and what doesn't. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and I cannot stress enough, it is process, systems, and controls that transform business relationships into profits. They help you identify, attract, and keep profitable customers. And if you're not value adding what you do as a copywriter, marketer, or business development professional with some of the tracking and analytic work that's necessary to zero in on profitable customers, then you're missing out on a huge service opportunity for your business. I want to thank you for listening. If you have any questions about this or any other program, you can visit www.adbriefings.co.uk, where you'll find a number of resources available for subscribers, where you can learn how to do this tracking if you like. And if you have any specific questions about projects you're working on or any content that we've covered in the podcast or on the site itself, you're always welcome to ask those questions at www.adbriefings.co.uk. Thanks for listening.